G'day guys, it is a terrible day in Melbourne today. It's hot, it's windy, so I thought I'd put together a video and maybe I'll upload this tonight. I know the cricket's on and all that type of stuff, and people would be preferred to be watching the cricket than focusing on football. But I am going to share some more footage from my little expedition to Carlton's training last week out at La Trobe University in Bundoora. I've already shared the full ground match sim stuff, which I hope you enjoyed. And I did film a lot, and I have taken a little bit of time over the weekend just to sort of sift through it and thought, how am I going to share this with you? And I want to once again put a little bit of context around what I'm sharing with you, and what I noticed and what I observed, and probably more what I've observed since I've watched the footage again and picked up on little bits and pieces. Unfortunately, there is some really good stuff that I want to share with you that I can't at the moment, although I'll probably just take one for the team and share it with you. So what actually happened, I was in the pocket, a really good vantage point, and the team were doing some stoppage work, boundary throw-ins, the ruckmen were going at it. You know, we had Pitnet v TDK and the midfielders, and they were just like, yeah, it was really good stuff. And then they were coming to the sidelines, and there was interaction between the players, which you could clearly hear on the sidelines. But unfortunately, the Carlton had the DJ just blaring music out just at this stage, and you can clearly hear the songs. And I'll probably, if I do put it up, I definitely will get a copyright strike, which is not ideal because I've had a few copyright strikes of recent times, so I've got to be a little bit careful with that. Anyway, what I want to share with you is kind of match sim stuff again, but it's just half ground match sim. So there were four teams, two teams going head to head, one on one side of the ground and two teams going head to head on the other side of the ground. They were just mirroring each other, doing exactly the same thing, which I think was probably a little bit of focus. And I think all their match sim stuff, there's a focus on this team defense aspect and setting the ground up and being really selfless with that. I spoke at length in my training report, and the observations I made from the training session was how the players are really tough on each other. Well, it appeared to be really tough on each other, particularly the leaders. And even the leaders, like there was one stage there where Newman and Cripper, it wasn't heated, but they something went wrong. There was a breakdown and they were like discussing it, like it felt like pretty full on, and then the plays were like keeping each other accountable, really accountable. And the beauty about being there and hearing it and listening to it, you can hear those conversations happening. And I've got no doubt in my mind, we know what the focus is. It's want to be stronger defensively. Nick Newman said it. He said it. And we're not just talking about, the classical defense, of tackling and spoiling and all that type of stuff, which is really important, the pressure. But this keeping your head in the game, like just concentrating and not just drifting. And this drill that we see here is about our midfielders and our wingers and our high half forwards keeping their shape defensively and blocking all the outlets and making sure that they're making it hard for that transition from the opposition from D50 through the midfield and into their front half. And I really like watching that at work. There are breakdowns, but that happens in games. Teams are really smart at getting the ball through. But I like watching it. I like the selfless acts of this part of the ground, because from a fan perspective, we pretty much, when we look at our players, we go straight to the stats and we look at the impact they've had in regards to kicks and handballs and marks and meters gained and all that type of stuff. But we don't necessarily appreciate, I don't think, as much, and I can be guilty of this as well, with this aspect of this game, this really selfless aspect of the game. And I think the wings are the perfect example of this. We often look at our wingers and go, shit, this bloke has only had 12 touches, but he may have played, internally, he may have played a really good game selflessly. He kept his width on his side of the ground, helped out defensively with pressure acts, set up the ground, all that type of stuff, okay? So I think our wings have become probably probably one of the better positions on the ground. If you really think about it, it's been a real focus, I reckon, over the last couple of years. Bringing Blake Acres to the club, and he can't go forever. Like, Blake Acres can't go forever. He's a warrior, and that body of his has taken a real beating for us, a real beating. And he's in the rehab group at the moment. He's running okay, but I think, if I've heard that he's had a back complaint. He hasn't joined in any of the contact work yet, but he is running quite well, so they want to look after him. He's a really important player for us. And with Ollie Hollands being trialled across half-back, guys, and I think they're going to go with that. I really do. I'm not sold on it by any stretch of the imagination. I like that they're trying things, and I know that they looked at it at the end of last year, and he did quite well there. But I'm still worried about. I really like Ollie Hollands. I really do. I love the Hollands brothers, but I'm worried about Ollie's kicking and his distribution by foot. Now, if we're not going to be using Ollie Hollands as a small lockdown defender. He's just not strong enough. He's going to have to defend in his role, but his role will be that run, that dare and that run, and get the ball in his hands and be a real distributor with Jordan Boyd, with Adam Sard, a combination of Nick Newman at times as well. I worry about his kicking. I really do. I don't think he's a great kick. I don't know if he's a great decision maker as well. Maybe that comes with time and more strength, but I'm yet to be convinced. In fact, I think potentially and down the track that Billy Wilson, who would have liked to have seen probably given a little bit more opportunities in the middle of the ground at VFL level last year, maybe that will come next year. I'm not quite sure, but I actually feel as that smallish defender who can really run and gun and use the ball well by foot, I feel like Wilson's probably a better proposition. He's probably just not a bigger ball winner at this stage than Ollie Hollands. And mightn't be ready to come in to the AFL just yet, given that Hollands has now, had 2 years of solid football under his belt. So that's a big watch for me, how that one works. But our wings are strong. But this footage that I'm sharing with you today, guys, is showing the relationship between Sam Docherty, who I feel like will spend the rest of his time as a winger. Maybe Doc's got 1 to 2 years left in that body. I think he's now in that, he'd be desperate to win a grand final. He'd be desperate. We saw that coming in last year. He was desperate to get back, but I feel like he's always been this way. But given how old he is now, and one of the more, he is, I think, with Nick Newman, the most senior player at our football club, there's great interaction in this clip between him and Doc will play wing. I've got no doubt about that. I think that's his position. But the relationship he's, I think, formed with Lucas Camporeale, they were rotating from the wing. So what would happen was Doc would spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes on the sideline observing Lucas go about his business, yelling out to him, talking to him, instructing him how to set up, all that type of stuff. And then Lucas would come. He's the winger out of the Camporeale twins. He's going to been given time in the VFL this year just to learn his craft. He would come to the sidelines and then observe Doc. And there was this great relationship between the two, and you can clearly hear it. I won't spoil it, but you can clearly hear it and observe it, which is really good. I really enjoyed that part of it. Just with someone like Lucas Camporeale, now physically he's not ready. The body is not ready yet. So you've got to be patient. And I know I've been big on Jagger Smith, but that's a different story. You know, like he's played senior VFL football. He's a number 3 draft pick. We've invested a huge amount into Jagger Smith, and I think the expectation is that he's pretty much ready to go. But all these wingers and midfielders, when they come from the under-18 competition, and this is where they've come from. They haven't come from senior football. They've come from the under-18 competition, whether it's in Victoria, the Coates Talent League, the Colts in Western Australia, the Sample under-18s, where they're on show. They're on show. That's all it is. Okay? They are told, all right? They're educated. They're educated at that level. It is a fantastic competition of football, the Coates Talent League or the South Australian under-18s. It is fantastic to go and watch. But it's pretty much just all offence. They're encouraged just to show their flair and their wares to get drafted. And that's not to say they ignore the defensive aspect of the game, like tackling and chasing and pressure and all that type of stuff. But the last thing they're encouraged to do is to set the ground up defensively and to be selfless. And to, you know, run from point post to point post, and if the ball's not in your area, you have to keep your width. No, they just want the ball in their hands, because the more they can show their strengths, whether it's kicking or speed or pace or defensive pressure as in tackling and just being powerful, that's what they're on show for. So when they come to a club like Carlton, and they're thrust into senior football, suddenly it's a different world. Okay, there's all these the strong game plans based around on defence first, which is setting the ground up, and where, you know, if you are a winger, where you can be and where we don't want you, and it becomes such a selfless role, a real selfless role, and that's what they are valued on. Sure, they're valued on their speed and their kicking ability and hitting someone up inside forward 50 and winning. They're valued on all that. But most of all, internally, I think they're valued on how well they help the team structurally. So please enjoy this, the relationship between Sam Docherty, one of the oldest players at our football club, and Lucas Camporeale, one of the youngest players at our football club. Hope you enjoy.
visual delay. We'll stand right up on there. You want to make it seem like they can't kick it there. Yes, Lloyd! Yes, Lloyd! Look at. You're just like playing that role. You can't go forward like that. Make it seem like it's harder kicks.
Okay.